Okay. So if there is any content length more than 1,000, you can quickly figure out, okay, let's say there were 10 systems which visited that malicious URL. And in that 10 system, there is one system which has actually downloaded the malware because the content length is more than 1,000, which is like 54,000. Okay. So this is how kind of like it will help you in kind of figuring out like with this content length header, you can kind of utilize this header to kind of do certain kind of investigation, depending on the malware or depending on let's say any other situation like policy violation by the employee. Okay. Now, one of the things which I was telling was that if you have this proxy log in your system, and thing is that you can't just do content length because it will give you all the values, and it will not filter out upon, let's say, show me only those values where the content length is more than 1,000. So to do that, maybe you can kind of, if you know the Python programming language, you can kind of utilize that knowledge and kind of maybe filter out on those special, rather than kind of return this command returning with 3 lines. You can write a Python script which read the proxy log one by one, and then it does some more granular filtering on that. Like, let's say, rather than kind of showcasing all these 3 lines, I only wanted to see those lines where the content length is more than 1,000. So you can implement that very easily using Python language. So are you guys kind of interested in kind of knowing that, like, just a kind of overview of how that you can implement that using Python? Any answer to that? Or should I skip that? Maybe I can showcase that to later. Okay, let's quickly do that. So what I will do is that I'll just write quickly one file, and I'll explain you how you can do that. So let's say I write a file, QW. I just rename that I keep that file name as qw.py. And what I do is that I open so this is the proxy rest. Okay, proxy rest.log. So what I do is that I open that proxy rest.log in read mode. So I want to read that file. Okay. And then what I do is that I store the content of that file in a variable like f.read. Okay. And I close this file because I have now read that file. I will close that handle. Okay. I don't need that. And now what I will do is that for, let's say let me just quickly do that by over here. So I have the proxy.log. I will just do clear. I will do Python 3. I am in the interpreter mode. So what I will do, I'll just do open. And here I will just open the proxy rest.log. And I will do that in the read mode. Okay. So now I have opened that file. And what I can do is that I can just save that content of that file in a variable known as D. Okay. So now if I just see the value of the D, so it will have that content of that file. Okay. Now what I will do is that I will create a list of that entry. So now if you see what I'll do d.split and I will do /n. Okay. So now if you see, you have a list of files. You have a list created from that chunk of data where I have separated the strings based on the /n. So if you see /n basically means the new line. So I have created a list where I have splitted the content based on that new line. So now if I do D0, it will give me the first line. If I do D1, it will give me the second line. Then D3, it will give me the fourth line, for an example. Okay. And now what I wanted to do is, like, I wanted to only see those lines where the content length is, let's say, more than 1,000. Okay. So what I can do is, for IND, which means that I'll be kind of going through the list of values of the D variable one by one. And in that, what I will do is I will, let's say, I equal to I dot split, and I will split that in column. Okay. So when I do that, what will happen is that I will get a new list where the values will be kind of separated by column over here. Okay. And all I am interested in is that, let's say I store a variable, let's say f equal to D1. Okay. Now let's say what's the value of f? The value of f is 4500. And what I will do is that I will write a code such that I will split the value with colon. Okay. And now if I do that, you see I have created a new list where the last value holds the actual bytes that were kind of received by the server. So if I do here F2, this will tell me that the last value is 54,000. And then I can write a code where it will check like if this. So now this is a string value. I can, let's say I can save that in another variable like G holds the 54,000 as a string. What I can do, I can just typecast that as an integer. Let's say G is equal to 54,000 as an integer. And I can write a logic where I say if G is greater than 1,000, then only show that line. So let's say if G is greater than 1,000, it will tell me as true. So this expression will fail for the other lines that I had over here, which was cat proxy.rest. So we will be only seeing this line now because the value of this value is more than 1,000 bytes. Okay. So this is how thing is that whenever you are dealing with any situation where you have either the proxy log on your system or let's say on the SIEM tool, and so in the SIEM tool also you can kind of the way to achieve this functionality will be a little bit different. But if you have this file in your own system, this is how, like using the Python code, what you can do is that you can achieve those kind of filtering that will not be provided by a normal command like let's say grep command or let's say find command. Okay. So any questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, great. So I hope this was a bit interesting. Like, and these are some of the things that you will be kind of encountering where you need to kind of, let's say, analyze a log file which has like, let's say 4 lakh entries, and you need to quickly figure out like, okay, are there any suspicious response header where the content length was like, let's say was more than 1,000. So you can utilize, just write your own Python script, and by the way that I showcased just now to you, and do your analysis in a faster way. Okay, rather than depending on any kind of Linux command or rather than depending on any kind of SIEM query. Okay, you can utilize that Python code and do your own investigation at ease. Okay, so now thing is that what we will do is that, let me just quickly see what else is left for the HTTP response header. So we have looked at the content length, and now let me quickly see if the other fields that I have. So the last field is second last field is the last modified field, which I wanted to kind of quickly discuss. So this field will tell me that this content is how much old. So this content, so the content that we are seeing over here, just give me 1 second, guys. Okay, so now let's resume our discussion. So the second last field that I want to discuss for the HTTP response header is the last modified. So what this last modified tells us that this content, the one that the HTML content that you are seeing right now over here, was written around 2014, and after that there was no change that was made to this content. Okay, so this is what this header is all about. So from this again you can figure out, okay, the content that was served to my website or my browser, how much old it is or how much new it is. Okay, so that's one thing. So I think this is all about the last modified header. And the last header that I want to discuss for today is the, let me just quickly see, is a set cookie header. Okay, so what is set cookie header is something actually related to when I was discussing about the Facebook thing. Let me just quickly see where that was. Okay, so when so this was one of the scenario which I was discussing earlier, where there was a user who actually visited facebook.com and they gave their username and password. Okay, and then the Facebook actually returned a cookie to the user, returned a cookie to the